Agreed to come for the final valedictory session. It is her first time in ICRIER, and I think it is for a just event, for a just cause, for a just piece of work that ICRIER is doing. And once again, I'm extremely happy, and on behalf of all of ICRIER, welcome the Foreign Secretary to this valedictory session. The bio is in the speaker profile, so you please have a look at it. I will just read out a bit of it. The reason it's quite formidable. So I thought, while you read it at your leisure, let me mention a key achievements that the Foreign Secretary has. Sujata Singh is Foreign Secretary, Government of India. She joined the Indian Foreign Service in July 1976. Prior to this, she has served as Ambassador of India to Germany and as High Commissioner to Australia. She started in Germany in Bonn. She was First Secretary, High Commission of India in Accra, and so on. Distinguished assignments, a number of important embassies she has served from India. She completed her BA Honours in Economics in 1973 from Lady Shri Ram College, and her MA is from the Delhi School of Economics. I wonder how many foreign secretaries have had a similar educational profile. I know several of them from the Delhi School of Economics. So I welcome you once again to ICRIER, and thank you for coming, and the floor is yours.
Thank you, Professor Rajat Kathuria, for your kind words. It's indeed a pleasure to be here. And I thank you for the invitation to address this valedictory session of the ICRIER conference on normalizing India-Pakistan trade, and above all, for permitting me to have the last word. I see from the conference papers that this is part of ICRIER's 3-year project on strengthening research and promoting multilateral dialogue for trade normalization between India and Pakistan, in keeping with the overall objective of improving trade and investment relations between our two countries. Over the course of the last 2 days, you would have discussed in some detail specific issues relating to enhancing trade in goods, trade in the automobile industry, trade in agriculture, trade in pharmaceutical sector, trade in energy, and barriers in trade, as well as the way forward. All these issues are important in catalyzing and evolving a more participatory policy debate through targeted and practical research and fostering a multi-level dialogue platform, as indeed this 3-year project is intended to achieve. I thought I would use this opportunity today to share with you the perspective of South Bloc on the subject of normalizing India-Pakistan trade. Perhaps a good starting point would be the sentiments that were expressed at the 5th SAARC Business Leaders Conclave held last week at FICCI, where I had the privilege of chairing a panel of ambassadors and high commissioners from fellow SAARC countries on the subject of the emerging South Asia in the 21st century. All of us on the panel agreed that if South Asia was to emerge, it had to develop at the bilateral level, at the sub-regional level, and the regional level, and that it was in our own respective national self-interests to interlink with each other. I especially liked the quote of the panelist who said that any competition between our countries should only be in cricket. Everything else should be cooperative. However, the most important point made, and one which is worth repeating today, is that if South Asia as a region is to enhance its weight in the world order and realize its combined potential for high economic growth, it needs to muster the strategic will to act, especially at this critical juncture when the entire region is in transition. I'm aware that this conference is about normalizing trade between India and Pakistan. I do believe, however, that this is an issue that needs to be seen in the larger context. In the context of the vision that has driven us and that our Prime Minister has often spoken about, of an economically vibrant and progressive South Asia built on a strong foundation of normal, peaceful and friendly ties between each of its member nations. Unfortunately, however, we seem to have some way to go before getting to the point of either the one or the other, or to the point where we can actually have a situation on the ground of normalized trade relations between Pakistan and India. I do not need to elaborate for this distinguished audience the significant progress that has been made in enhancing trade and investment relations between India and our other neighbors. The exception, unfortunately, has been Pakistan, for a variety of reasons, much of it hostage to political issues between our two countries, which are a legacy of our history and the tragic events surrounding partition. Gentlemen, ladies, we may all go into as much detail as we wish to on the pros and cons of trade in various sectors. However, until such time as there is political will to implement the required measures, it is difficult to see how we can move forward on any front. The desire is certainly there on both sides, especially at the business level. A High Commissioner in Islamabad informs me that a decade ago, it would be only major chambers of commerce in Pakistan who would be expressing the desire to trade with India. Today, he encounters that willingness and readiness in much of Pakistan, including in small towns. This is an encouraging sign. Pakistan is presently in the middle of its economic reforms, and I'm sure that economists in Pakistan fully understand the opportunities that are ready to be grasped and the additional policy space that will be created if Pakistan's economy opens up for trade with the largest economy in the region. Perhaps it would be useful to get into specifics at this point to tell you what has been achieved so far on the bilateral trade agenda and what we in GOI see as the next steps. 2012 saw significant progress in the path towards establishing a normal trade regime between India and Pakistan. India announced the removal of restrictions on investment from Pakistan. In March 2012, Pakistan announced its decision to move from a positive list to a negative list trading regime for all trading points except trade through the Attari-Wagah border post that remains limited to 137 items. In April 2012, the integrated checkpost at Attari was inaugurated with great fanfare, with the understanding that Pakistan would similarly develop corresponding trade facilitating infrastructure on its side of the border. In their meeting in Islamabad in September 2012, the Commerce Secretaries defined with great precision what the fully normalized India-Pakistan trading regime would look like. They also worked out a mutually agreed roadmap to achieve this goal by the end of the year. So in 2012, we were able to identify not just the final destination, but also the route we needed to take to get there. According to the Commerce Secretaries, a fully normal trading regime between the two countries would look something as follows. 1. There would be normal trade along all trading points, including the Attari-Wagah land border post. 2. Pakistan would confer non-discriminatory market access status to Indian goods entering Pakistan, as India had done for Pakistan in 1996. 3. Both sides would undertake a significant reduction in their SAFTA sensitive lists that governs bilateral trade to only 100 items each. 4. Finally, both sides would reduce tariff limits to 5% for all tradable goods. The sequential roadmap to achieve this was also worked out. It involved 1. Pakistan announcing the normalization of trade on Atari Wagah, followed by India introducing a first tranche of reduction in the present SAFTA sensitive list of 614 items by 30%. 2. Pakistan conferring non-discriminatory market access to Indian goods, accompanied by India introducing a second tranche of reductions of its SAFTA sensitive list to bring it down to 100 items. We did not insist on reciprocity in this roadmap. Pakistan could achieve its 100 items of SAFTA sensitive list over a period of 5 years, compared to the immediate relief India was willing to provide Pakistan by reducing its list to 100 in 2 short steps. The roadmap for trade normalization worked out by the Commerce Secretaries in 2012 remains valid. But it requires Pakistan to take the first step as specified in order to trigger the subsequent actions that have been agreed to by both sides. I might add that we did see the election of Prime Minister Nawaz Sharif in May 2013 with a strong mandate to reform the Pakistani economy as an opportunity to move ahead on this positive agenda, already drawn up and ready to be implemented. We also made it a point to respond rapidly and positively to any suggestion from Pakistan in this direction. In August last year, when we received a suggestion to move ahead with bilateral trade in gas and electricity, we responded rapidly by sending a technical team to Lahore and readied ourselves for a return visit from Pakistan, which did not take place. This month, we responded positively when Pakistan expressed readiness to lift all restrictions on trade at the Atari Wagah border. Meetings were thus scheduled of both the Commerce Secretaries and Commerce Ministers on the margins of the recent SAARC Business Leaders Conference to prepare for its modalities. Once again, we were disappointed. Recently, we also discussed the possibility of accelerating the pace of normalization of bilateral trade, of compressing all the steps of the September 2012 roadmap into one grand announcement, and exploring the possibility of compressing the time taken to reduce tariffs on tradable goods faster than the 3 years allowed under SAFTA to a shorter period of 6 months or 1 year. India's SAFTA sensitive list contains items of export interest to Pakistan. The trade creating potential of such an accelerated dismantling of our SAFTA sensitive list and tariffs on tradable goods should not be difficult to imagine. The recent announcements made by the 2 commerce ministers to accelerate trade normalization and achieve implementation of the agreed measures before the end of February 2014 are welcome developments. We should also not discount the positive impact that the recent decision to keep Wagah Atari Land Customs Station open on all 7 days of the week and to permit containerization of trade across Atari Wagah to Lahore and Amritsar will have. We do hope that all these measures will be realized rapidly without further delays. I'm aware of the arguments often made in Pakistan that there are strong non-tariff barriers operating in the Indian economy that prevent Pakistan from moving ahead. These are arguments that do not stand up to close scrutiny.